Hey guys, so earlier this week I put out a quick hit anecdote about my experience coaching at a meet this past weekend. It was the first meet in Ontario in about 2 years, and it brought forth a lot of reflection in the things that I take advantage as a coach who's been doing this for a really long time. So one of the things that always comes up at meets is, what attempts should I select? How should I plan what I do? The old anecdote of the lifter in the back room who takes their opener in the warm-up room just to make sure they still got it. We all know that that's an inefficient and ineffective way to do things, but it still happens. So I wanted to put out a video going over how I look at attempt selection, how I create a plan with my athlete, and what are some considerations that are made, and how do we adjust it on the day to make sure the athlete is as prepared to execute and can execute their plan to the best of their abilities. So we have to look at the goals. Now, the goals are going to be based on a number of factors, and they should be constantly evolving. It should be a constant conversation between you and your athletes about where they want to be. With regards to goals, they should always see this meet as a stepping stone to the next meet. Unless they've decided that this next meet is the only meet that they're ever going to do ever, every meet should build upon itself. You should have a long-term plan in mind. Now, the goals for the current meet in question are going to depend on the training. So what in your training have you done to prepare for the attempts that you're wanting to select at the meet? What in your training is an indicator to you that you are capable of achieving the goal that you've set for yourself? If the heaviest lift that you do in training is a 500-pound squat and you think you want to show up on meet day and squat 600, I hate to break it to you, but unless you squatted that 500 at an RPE of 6, you're likely not going to squat 600 on meet day. So we need to look at trends. So how your training is progressing. Are you hitting the numbers at the appropriate RPEs? Do you have any indication of, if I'm capable of X, it should translate to Y on the platform? So for myself, I know that if I hit a heavy double, I'm capable of at least 5% more than that heavy double on meet day. Well, that might not be the case for your lifter, but there should be some indication of, we hit a 500 squat for 3 reps. That predicted 1 rep max, according to a 1 rep max calculator, is X. That gives us a good indication of where we should be on meet day, and we can set an appropriate goal based on that. We should also look at the lifter's current PRs, right? So what their heaviest attempts were in training as compared to their meet day PRs. In a lot of instances with younger lifters, their heaviest attempts in training will be exceeding their platform PRs. The whole point of a competition is to set PRs on the platform, so that will give you additional information to plan your attempts and establish your goals. Now, the experience level of the lifter is going to play a role. A less experienced lifter is going to want to take less aggressive jumps. They're going to have less knowledge of how their body's responding. They're going to have less accuracy in their ratings of RPE. This all is important when we're at the meet on the platform and I say, how did that feel? Well, how accurately you can determine how it felt is going to determine how accurately I can pick your next attempt. The level of competition is actually a very interesting one, because if you're in, especially in the IPF, there's the opportunity to change attempts based on successful attempts of your competition. So you can continue to chip your attempt up based on what people are doing. So having knowledge of the rule book, having knowledge of the competition and where they stand will definitely play a role in how you plan your meet day execution if your goal is to win. If you're just a recreational powerlifter competing at a local meet or even a pro meet, your goal should be to compete against yourself, whatever you're capable of doing on meet day. If you're competing to win, that attempt selection process is going to either be more conservative or much more aggressive, right? Then you look at the personality of the lifter. If the lifter is very emotional, that's going to dictate how you choose attempts. If on the day their emotions are dialed in, you're going to be able to be much more aggressive and they'll step up to the plate. If they're nervous, if they're unsure, if they lack confidence, that's definitely going to be a factor in how conservative you are with attempt selection. Now, once we have all that information together, we have to look at this as a collaborative planning process. Okay? The lifter is involved in the process at every step. It's their process. They are the ones who need to execute. So they are the ones who need to have confidence in the plan. The more confidence they have in their ability to follow the plan, the higher their self-efficacy and the better their performance will be. Right? This is a communication process and it's ongoing. From the moment you start working with an athlete, the conversation of goals, the conversation of process, the conversation of learning their personality, their experience level, trends in their lifts and how that correlates to further lifts down the road. These are all things that are involved in the coaching process and play a role on meet day. Right? The plan needs to be flexible. Creating a plan, and you kind of see here where we're at, it looks like a spider web because we don't know on the day what's going to happen. Are you going to miss a lift due to strength? Are you going to miss a lift due to missing commands? Are you going to miss a lift due to a technical issue? Are you going to far exceed expectations? We need to be able to plan contingencies and both understand, coach and athlete, how to execute given the situation. Okay? I always like to work backwards. I always like to work backwards from the best case scenario of that PR goal. Okay? So that PR goal is our starting point. We look back towards the heaviest lifts in competition. We make some comparisons, and then the general guideline is from opener to goal third attempt. There shouldn't be much more than about 10% of 1 rep max. So if your goal is an 800-pound squat, your opener should be give or take 80 pounds less than that, right? Then you can go 720, 760, 800, 720, 771, 800, something along those lines. 10% from opener to goal third attempt. Okay. Now, what we need to do is we need to relate the goal third attempt to the heaviest attempt in training. Are they equal, or are there indicators in the heaviest attempts of training that would dictate that the goal third is within our reach? If it's not, we need to have a conversation about the goal and maybe reestablish some different ones. Then we need to look at the opener. Okay, the opener should be about an RPE 8 single, right? Something you could do for maybe 1 or 2 more reps. The joke I always make is if I had AIDS, I could still hit my opener. Essentially, it's something that even on your worst day, you could hit it. Okay, the second should be determined by the opener's RPE in relation to the goal third attempt. You want to choose something somewhere in the middle, probably a little closer to the third attempt than the opener. So a bigger jump from opener to second, and then in relation to the third attempt, still put you in striking distance. So the opener, in a perfect world, your opener is going to be at an RPE 8, your second RPE 9, third RPE 10, and a PR. Okay? The second could potentially be a PR based on how training goes, but if you're in a position where you're just trying to chip your PRs, take a conservative second to set you up for a successful third, right? So the jumps from first to second are going to be about 5 to 7% 1 rep max. The jumps from second to third are going to be about 3 to 5% 1 rep max. These are just general guidelines. They don't have to be equal. I've been at meets where, man, I think the first time I squatted 800, I went 7, 750, 800. I didn't care about RPE. I didn't care about what was happening. I just knew I wanted to go 7, 750, 800, and regardless of the fact, that's what I was going to do. Was that an intelligent approach? Nope, but I bought into it, and that's what I wanted to do. So I've created a bit of a matrix here to let us understand the plan, which would be a straight line across, the best case scenario, and worst case scenario. Okay? So you take your opener and you miss. Well, you're going to repeat it. If you miss again, you're going to repeat it on your third attempt. If you make your opener and it's very, very easy, you might go to a more aggressive second attempt. Okay? That more aggressive second attempt could be a small PR. If you miss that, you go to a third attempt that is plus or minus a PR, or you can follow the plan, hit your plan second, which would allow you to either take a bigger third than you planned if it's easy, take the planned third, if it's just as hard as you thought it would be, or you could even take lesser of a third attempt. There you go. Take lesser of a third attempt if it doesn't feel as good as you wanted it to. Ultimately, this option right here, I dotted the line because if you have a long-term process in mind, you're just going to take your PR and walk away, right? If you're greedy, or if you need to win, or if it's for money, you might take that more aggressive third attempt and put the risk on it. But if you're putting the risk on it, you're more likely going to be in this position because you've already secured a PR, right? Your goal is to PR the total. It's not to PR single lifts. So this whole process is about building a total. Now, if that second attempt you miss, you might want to retake it, or you might even want to go to a lesser third attempt if you made the lift but missed it on a technicality perhaps, right? So all of these contingencies, so from lower second attempt, you might go to a lower third. If that lower second attempt feels good, you might go to your planned third. But regardless of that second attempt, your next attempt at it should put you in striking distance of your planned third, right? So you might have 2 to 3 options here within 5 to 10 kilos, but that jump should still put you in a position where if that attempt feels good, you can go for your planned third. Same thing if you have to take a lesser second, it should still be in striking distance of a planned third, or you can take a lower third, or you can take even a lower third than that. If you miss, you repeat. This plan should have hard numbers associated with it. It should be given to your athlete and you should have it on meet day. You might be in a position where you think you're intelligent enough to plan it and keep it in your head. I assure you you're not, especially with handling multiple lifters on meet day. So some take-home messages here. Number 1, there should be a reasoning behind the numbers that you're choosing. That reasoning should be communicated to the athlete and they should be in agreement with it and feel confident that they're able to execute it. Communication should be an ongoing process and the plan should be flexible. We're working backwards from a goal third attempt, taking the opener in relation to the heaviest lifts in training at an RPE of about 8. RPE of attempts should escalate 8, 9, 10 with a difference of about 5 to 7% between opener and second, 3 to 5% from second to third. And that goal third should be something that leads you to the future. Always have a future planning in your mind. I hope this was insightful for you guys. I hope it gave you a little bit of information into how I go about meet day planning and how I communicate that to my athletes. If you have any questions, please drop comments below or sign on to the Discord channel and let's have a chat about it. I'll talk to you soon.